that's one way to close out a game. Panic kill for Spyrax. Oh, man. We have seen Spyrax do it time and time again and pull out magnificent performances on the Azir. I think the one that stands out to me the most from last year, Cubby, was the... I think it was
Don't say it. Don't say the TL game. Do not say the TL game.
No, I'm talking about... Was it against Team Liquid when they stole Dragon last year in spring?
Oh, no. I was thinking when TL like literally ran into the Nexus and died.
Oh, that I do remember that one too.
Not the Xerath game. Yeah. And then they lost. Good times. No, the Elder Steel, yeah.
Elder Steel is also a banger. And it just goes to show that Spyrax has been still growing and growing. Hot collegiate prospect. I know you've also had some time casting him before as well, Gabby. It's just awesome to see Spyrax continue to flourish here.
Yes, just wanting to really follow the story of these players that have been building up over time, and then when you cross from collegiate into the NACL, seeing what you can bring, and still very young in their career, so plenty to come.
Hell yeah. Well, for us, we are now going to go into our second halftime show segment of the day. This one is called Recall. Emphasis on the re and the colon call. So, thankfully, we're not recalling in the game, but we're going to see and test our casters' memory to see if they remember what they even said during the game. As I have taken clips throughout this game, and what I will be doing is playing 1 second of the call. And if you can't guess it afterwards, then I will continue playing 3 seconds of it, and then the 5, and then finally the full clip. And if you still can't remember it, well, then we're gonna have to work on y'all's memory. But
I don't want to remember what I say. I want to remember like how they play or like what happens. I don't want to listen to myself.
Well, that's what you have to describe. You have to describe what is happening in the game during this call.
Okay.
My short-term memory is that of a goldfish, Rafa. I can only remember so far into the back. Maybe I was Dory in another. We'll see. Yeah, one day I'm gonna dominate on these game shows. It's gonna happen. I'm gonna learn how to hit buzzers and all of that.
There you go. Well, in terms of your short-term memory, that's not my problem. You came onto the show, and now we're gonna test your memory.
You know, like how oh, why am I blanking on the show? It's a great show. Like the Think Like a Goldfish, right? Ted Lasso. You're just gonna have to think like an elephant.
Oh yes.
Right?
Okay.
Yes.
Elephant thoughts.
Yes, elephant thoughts.
Elephant thoughts.
All right. Well, here we go. This is call number 1.
Went over is
That's 1 second.
I heard Isaiah W.
Did you?
And I said uh-oh.
Yeah.
I say uh-oh a lot.
I feel like, was that like an uh-oh? Where was that? Oh, I feel like that was maybe like a Prismal going in for a second uh-oh.
Okay, was it where Prismal... All right, we're going to teamwork this. Prismal was on the control board in the, not red brush, but the brush below that by, like, borders, not, like, going to the Kruggos. Was it when he's there and then setting up that big flank?
Nope.
All right, give me 3 seconds.
All
3
right.
seconds.
Here we go. 3 seconds.
Went over is was Winsome.
Taking some feather hits.
Was it when Winsome turned the play on Jarvan mid when he went in too far? Or was it when he got caught originally?
There you go.
Ooh.
There you go. So the full clip, I will continue to play it out.
Here from Array and Prismal here with the speed up and the knock up. Now Mosk is in the vicinity, but Winsome does go down.
Yep. So Winsome was checking for some vision control in the bottom jungle and then realized he was in a position where he was not allowed to be in. Got collapsed and gave an early death. And this does lead into a lot of what y'all were setting up in kind of the narrative and the focus around, hey, if you have an Aphelios Thresh against Xayah Rakan, you want to try and shut down this Aphelios Thresh as soon as possible before Masu starts scaling up. Which now is going to lead us into call number 2 of the game.
Elephant thoughts.
Here we go. First second.
Oh, now Prismal's in. So that sounded like Prismal in trouble, right? I feel like.
Yes.
So
that's happened happened a few times in that game. Prismal likes to be in trouble. You know, it's where he thrives.
the problem is sometimes he was in trouble, but then ended up not being in trouble. So I can't tell if that was he actually. I don't. let's see. If it was the second call, it was probably early enough, right? And Golden Guardians were still doing good things early. So this was where did this? It was somewhere. Was this? You got anything?
Need 3 seconds.
Okay.
All right, let's go 3.
3 seconds.
Oh, now Prismal's in range and the Cataclysm to follow.
Oh. Was this the play I was teasing previously, where it was the bot dive where he wrapped around that control ward I was describing in great detail, and then they followed up bot, and then Rosethorn went down at the end of it? Does he get hooked?
Hang on.
Of course.
I'm feeling gaslit because I don't remember. No, this was not. No.
So you're doing a segment where you're trying to force us to recall what we said, and you can't remember what we said when?
Can't recall,
I was like, your confidence was like, hold up, that's not the play I grabbed, right? I'm pretty sure and then I had to double check, but no, that's
I'm just stuck on this like control ward vision play for whatever reason, because
Yeah.
it's just Prismal like being in Narnia, but it's actually good.
I mean, you got the fact that Rosethorn is involved. You heard Cataclysm from Gabby in the call as well, so
yeah, I appreciate the hint there. I'm still struggling though. I'm thinking like a goldfish.
They were joined at the hip for a little bit, so I can't remember where that play was for them.
Okay. Let's just play out the rest of the clip.
Oh, now Prismal's in range and the Cataclysm to follow. Mathu, out of here before the Feather Storm can even hit.
And that's why Golden Guardians, that's why we've been loving their gameplay, because
But did that happen mid?
there was like 3 bot dives.
Yeah, like I can't remember if that, because
Which
like
bot dive was this?
Okay, so to wrap this one up. Oh, Gabby, do you?
No, I'm not confident enough in it.
To wrap this one up, this I was deciding between choosing this part of the call or the part beforehand where Cubby goes, oh, he actually didn't get any plates, and they punished the fact that he had just used Dark Passage to try and get the plates off of the crash, but he didn't get plates. And on top of it, Rosethorn was in the area, swung in, cataclysmed, no way for Monster to get out of that one.
So it was like the first of the 3 bot dives.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, there was a lot of bot dives that game.
There were a lot of bot dives that game. We are going to considering we are. Oh, let's see. Here we go. First second of the third clip.
It's a big deal for the side of Golden Guardians. This is going.
Do you remember if that was, you were saying that was a big deal for Golden Guardians because good or because bad? I can't remember where you go from there. If it was this is a big deal for them because they lost out something?
I'm going to be honest, I wasn't really paying attention. They just showed the Spyrex clip on Twitter, and I had to hit retweet. So keep on going.
All right. Well,
keep on going.
Valid.
To be fair, I do want to get to one more call, so I'm just going to say this was just Cubby and Gabby following up on the fact that, hey, they're hitting on Masu and Winsome and trying to put them behind early with after the third. This is like after the third dive where they've pushed them off the wave, the turret goes down, etc. They've accelerated their bot lane altogether. We are going to go straight into our last call of the
wonder if it's going to be the Penta.
We're gonna have to end on a strong one here, hopefully.
Yeah. Is it going to be the Penta? Let's hear.
Why is it not playing? Oh my god, wait. Oh, I'm getting griefed. Here we go.
We know the Golden Guardians have to push the pace of the game during.
Oh, well, I remember what you say. You're like, they got to push the pace of the game, but then now they're pushing it too fast. Is it where you're saying that?
First or second Baron failure. I don't know which one, though. You're going to have to help me out here.
Yeah, I think this was the second one, right? Because I think it was after they were continuously pushing it.
Let's go!
Elephant thoughts. Let's go.
Elephant thoughts. Yes, it is after the second Baron attempt. All 5 Golden Guardians members got the Baron, but then they all freaking died because FlyQuest ran them down. So, and Cubby was like, guys, you got to push the pace, but not that fast. You can't be that disrespectful, FlyQuest. The Penta would have been too obvious, so I thought this was a good one to throw you off. But that is the end of the segment as we are getting ready for the second draft of the series. So take it away, y'all, and have a blast.
Thanks. See, look, Cubby, I'm just an active listener. Yeah, because when it was, I had an easier time when it was you starting the clip than when it was my own voice. Like, I don't know what I can't hear myself in those moments.
Common caster thoughts, you know?
Yeah.
Just tune yourself out. It usually, it takes a while to get used to like hearing your own voice. It's not good.
It's
I don't like it.
It's an interesting. I feel like I've been doing it a long time, but one thing that I always tell people when they're like, "Oh, and I can't do VOD review of myself, it feels too weird." But once you get past we hear ourselves, and I think it's a whole octave lower in our heads than we do sound out loud. So that's why we have such, just a disparity between what we're hearing and why it feels so cringe to us, because it's legit not what we hear ourselves as. But once you get past that, then you're like, okay. Anyway. Little thing for anybody that's watching that's wondering why they cringe at themselves when they hear them on recordings for the first time. We're getting into FlyQuest versus Golden Guardians round 2.
And no side swap and not a huge change of strategy so far. I will say Xayah was taken away, so no Xayah Rakan for the side of GG, but also a Karma being taken tells me that they don't want the Ezreal Karma lane out of Masu and Winsome. So maybe that's an answer, again, to Thresh Aphelios. It's on the table if GG wants to play it themselves. We haven't seen a lot of Thresh out of Prismal, but that's an option. If not, La Bamba's on the table.
La Bamba. I was going to sing something, but then I'm like, is there copyright or whatever if you start singing along to songs? I don't know. But as far as what we're getting going with this draft so far, that is something that you have to consider is who plays certain picks, because Thresh is coming through a lot more often ever since the evolving meta. But does someone like Prismal, who is, I believe, 2 splits now into the support position, is that something that you're going to feel good on, something that you're working on? Right now, though, for the lock-ins, it was that Sejuani to start on FlyQuest side. Golden Guardians answering with the Gragas first locked in. Still some flexibility with that pick, but the Varus to follow.
And the nice part about the Gragas here being on red, that is it can be a 4-way flex. Now the Varus is showing. I'm going to go 3-way once we see this bot lane locked in for FlyQuest, because it sure is looking like they want that bot lane priority. As we could see the Caitlyn, no, it's a swap over to the Senna, so valuing that flexibility. Things can get funky here when you do run Senna lanes, as, oh boy, an early Yasuo coming out.
Ooh, are you expecting to get some Yasuo play today? FlyQuest, bring it on through, eh?
I mean, I see Senna and Yasuo, and I immediately miss Busio, but maybe Winsome's got that up his sleeve too, or Masu, who knows? We know that Spyrax is a good Yasuo player. So now that's something that GG, I mean, it's showing. GG now have the rest of the draft to kind of plan around this. They're actually going to deny the Azir from Spyrax, so that is a matchup you can play in the Yasuo. I don't think it's the best, especially after some of the changes to Azir and lane, but it is something where that wind wall already has a lot of value. You can deny the cask from Gragas. You can eliminate poke Varus pretty much. So I think Varus might be forced to go on hit now. We'll have to see. Already so much value, though, on the side for that Yasuo.
The denial being a very potent part of Yasuo's kit here, and especially with what has been shown, as you're pointing out, Cubby, on the side of Golden Guardians. So as we continue here on in the bans, there's still a little bit of that flexibility in some of these picks that don't quite give the entirety of the intel of the direction they're going. So not as much very, very clear directives on the ways in which you want to be throwing these bans, but it's Renekton off of the block for FlyQuest, and then that Akali earlier ripped away by Golden Guardians.
I'll see if that LeBlanc maybe is taken away from Spyrax, or a Silas, as they could throw another ban at mid to protect that Azir. We still think that they know that the Yasuo is flexible, so still gonna have to see is, okay, Silas being taken off the board for Spyrax. Will be relegated to something like a Victor if you want good Azir answers, or maybe he's willing to play that LeBlanc. Whereas FlyQuest taking away some of that early power from Golden Guardians, as the concept's proven that he can play that Renekton. And now we're going to have to see if maybe they choose to get rid of something like that Scion, if they still think this Gragas is likely going into the jungle.
And that's what it looks like FlyQuest is trying to lock down, right? Which way do they want to make these bans towards? And instead, it's the Alistar. We haven't seen any today, and that's definitely a pick I've heard talked about, but I feel like I haven't seen as much directly in these matches.
It would give Yasuo a pretty big headache. So I think maybe taking that away with the thoughts of the bot Yasuo in mind. That said, does open up the Nautilus for Prismal. Prismal's been really good on his Nautilus, but actually swapping over to Rel. So a new champ for Prismal. It's not the best synergy in lane with the Varus, but you do have Gragas going in. The Wombo combo between Rel plus Gragas plus Azir, that is significant if GG is able to execute it.
Whenever Rel comes back in, because she fiddles in here and there, but hasn't really had a moment completely shining within the meta as of late. But you can think about the effect of being able to get that tether on, being able to offer that magnet storm in these fights. But it's the brothers working in tandem for FlyQuest. A clear themed look going for them here.
This is a fun draft.
Yes.
And I will say it's a little bit low magic damage here for FlyQuest. So curious if Philip's actually going to round that out. Could go for something like Cho'Gath. It could blind it. He does bring some magic damage to the table, and the interrupts could give Rel and Gragas a headache. I am looking to see if Philip does take any. Yeah, okay. So it's going to be the blind Gwen in the top side is now concept. You can't answer with the Gragas. That was a handshake matchup for a long time going up against Gwen. So if Yuji wants to grab something he feels like he could break the game with against Sejuani, is an option still for Golden Guardians.
Ooh. I'm excited for this game.
This is a fun draft, yeah.
This is a really, really fun draft. I mean, just looking at the scrap of all these, melees on the side of FlyQuest and leaning into the way Sejuani can really build upon them. For Golden Guardians, though, they get their last lock-in, and it's Olaf.
It's a good setup for Olaf as Yasuo, Yone, plus Gwen, they all have to go in. Olaf, not going to mind that. The good news for Olaf is that everyone goes in. The bad news is that there is a lot of damage for Olaf to deal with. So we will see if Golden Guardians can make sure Concept survives that. But on the side of GG, I think a lot of it's going to be the disengage from Young's Azir and Rosethorn's Gragas. If they can split up the members of FlyQuest, that's going to be really important as everyone's going to be jumping in. It could be a real headache to deal with Gragas plus Rel playing all these melees. But GG has to get to that state because some of these lanes could be really strong for FlyQuest.
Yeah, who do you have more faith in? Golden Guardians getting off the combos that they have brought through with the Rel, with the Azir, with the Gragas, or FlyQuest dominating with the lanes that they've set up and really snowballing that?
I'm going to go with GG a little bit for this one. Hopefully a little bit more calm approach will work out for them as, we have the Spyrex fandom copy pasta coming in. I love to see that. Spyrex definitely earned some of that praise with the Azir in the last game, and now he does love this matchup, Yone into Azir. Very good for the Yone.
Yones are always fun when they're executed well as well, so Spyrax showing out on the Azir in game number 1 with the Penta, and now a completely different look alongside the rest of this squad. I wonder what put the spice in the noodles for FlyQuest and Golden Guardians coming into the second draft.
We're getting some gifts here on 13.4. We're getting some different reads. It's fun as get some different looks at the game. I mean, it's funny that we were talking about the top side and not the Sunny Yasuo that's returning, which the Yasuo, it's a real headache to play these melees into Rel. So definitely going to look out to see how comfortable Prismal is on this champion. I have faith that Prismal can play anything and everything, but we will see if in its first game if Prismal is able to step up and maybe get some pressure early on for Golden Guardians.
Yeah, that's what I want to see, the comfort on Rel, because she is a little bit tricky because of that duality on the mounted versus non-mounted state, and how slow you actually move when you're in your most defensive stance can be a bit jarring until you really get into the ebb and flow of this champion. But so much that you can offer to kind of create that lockdown, attract and repel, offering some more of that durability too. So I want to see how Prismal is able to execute in this matchup and punish the melee of Masu here, throwing out the exhaust immediately upon this engage.
Yeah, Rel's funky because she's clunky. It adds some flavor to her as a kit, but it definitely is a difficult champ to play and pilot. But man, when you hit that combo, it does feel really rewarding. As Prismal, you can already see getting a couple summoner spells out from the early pressure and what he's been able to connect with. And again, that Varus with the Halo Blades should be up in lane, so we'll see if they can keep this Senna Yasuo down, because this lane, it is a problem later.
Yuji making way over towards this top side. It's Rosethorn on the Gragas. For a while, we were wondering where this Gragas pick was going to go. But in this jungle position, how do you think it's going to fare, especially for Rosethorn specifically when you're thinking about the way he likes to play?
Oh, I think it's going to be just fine, but my attention's going top because Yuji, he snuck around a ward actually used that Arctic Assault to get over the Rift Herald wall. So now he's going to wait to have it back in Concept. He's a dead man walking.
Concept low and in trouble, hits the ghost and says, you know what? I'm dead either way. Maybe I can take Philip out. Not so much. First blood to Philip and FlyQuest.
That was the right call from Concept, but really respect Yuji's pathing there to make sure that his top laner gets the advantage against the Olaf. That is big, as Olaf could be a problem in this game, but if kept down, if kept behind, I think that FlyQuest does have enough damage to deal with him.
Both of the top laners having that teleport and ghost combo. Common with these two particular picks, but yep, Yuji not even having to get very involved, just the rotation and pathing itself to set up for that pressure onto Concept, who had to teleport back, a match teleport at both to come back to lane with a little more strength.
And it's that blasting wand into a longsword, that is a big difference for Philip early. Gwen, of course, still that problem champion, especially later in the game. And with the lane frozen and how it is on Concepts, I mean, that is one of the windows that you can't actually hit Olaf before 6, of course. Really, props to FlyQuest for setting that up. And Yuji, again, this team with Winsome's had a lot more direction. Oh, okay, speaking of direction.
And Prismal's going into it. The exhaust thrown onto Masu. A slice with the Q. And in the end, Yuji was here for a little intervention if needed, but that was a flash forward from Rosethorn. Masu still wants to go for it a bit now that the jungler is here, and the rotation back from Rosethorn. See if they can throw it back. Yuji's going for it. Prismal getting marked down low. The stun is good to finish off. Can they get the kill onto the enemy bot laner here? Masu, one more hit from death. Connect it does. Array with the credit. So the 1-for-1 trade down this bot side with jungler intervention.
The kill did go over to Array, so I like that for GG, but okay, meanwhile, top Philip.
Philip wanting to keep protected outside of the mist, and Yuji not into Array, who flashes out of Q, but cannot survive. Rosethorn wants to throw one back onto the enemy jungler. Another smash into it. Oh my goodness. Yuji survives the scrap in FlyQuest's favor.
Oh man, Sejuani is so strong early. We didn't get the passive off, and GG. That puts them really far in the hole early on. It was a good engage initially on the side of GG. I do want to praise Masu before this. He actually react flashed to Rosethorn's flash, so flashed away from the body slam. Prismal cancels the EQ NATO here, but still Masu is able to follow up onto Rel. Love the commitment from Yuji to make sure that Prismal goes down. Array, able to get Masu was good, but on the back half, I'm surprised that GG went in to flip. I felt like they burned a lot, and they just were not able to find it.
Quite, and now this was just a lot of scrap that was happening down here bot, and then once the junglers came through, just able to really shake things up here. But, I mean, the way that Yuji could stay into this fight and just keep durable enough on the Sejuani, on that impact, means that FlyQuest on these narrow margins pull it off.
Yuji, a player praised for his mechanics. I guess we saw some of it on the Sejuani there as he sidestepped the barrel. Was able to land a few combos to make sure that he lived just by couple mage minion autos, you know. Nice and calculated on his part, of course. I will say, one of the things that will be tough at FlyQuest is up gold. I think the map's really good for them right now, but Yasuo really got starved out, just given where the wave was and how that skirmish went. So it is going to be a big advantage for Array. It's enough to net at least a Dragon start for Golden Guardians. This could get funky.
UG, sweeper up.
Okay.
Control in. They know that this is happening, but don't want to contest. Probably also thinking about the way in which Array has been able to build up as a threat thus far. First Dragon going over to Golden Guardians.
Yeah, Array opting for the poke build, not wanting to get close to all the melees that FlyQuest has stacked up. That could stack up that Permafrost passive, as that is something that Windwall will be very valuable against. So again, the poke could be really good from Array, but something to look out for, as Yasuo always adds very unique texture to the game, as we talked about how strong Event Horizon was earlier today when we saw Vigar.
Yes.
Windwall can neutralize a lot as well.
A lot of these players remembering the tools available across all the champions here in the game, League Legends, and I mean, there was a while where Senna and Yasuo was something we're all familiar with, as they're put into action here again. There's the knock up onto Array, the attempted Q back, but no one was low enough for finishing off So Array, the life-given Yuji, keeping that presence up over on the bot side.
And you can see Prismo, he's trying to play in the brush to pressure the Senna, but it just enables Yasuo when he has help to walk straight up, and there's no crash down that we can have. Oh boy.
Oh, Young throwing him away over into the riverside, and the rail kind of getting down. Young now getting responded to quite effectively. Spyrax, another slam will do it. Manages to dash out of the way. Concept looking for another target, but Rosethorn isolated by Philip under the haze. Manages to push him back, but cannot complete the kill. So many brought low. Finally, a last punch to take down Yuji. But look at all these bars. Everyone running away with tail between their legs off of some of these fights.
That was a great fight from Spyrax as he found the two-man Tempered Fate, was actually able to use a third Q to get away from the axe as he lives. And FlyQuest continued to turn around the aggression of Golden Guardians, not just in the bot lane now, but also mid too.
Woo! Gold lead extending above a K now, about 1.2 for FlyQuest. And even though Golden Guardians, we did note they did take that first dragon, they were working off of some of that pressure on the bot side because of the farming advantage Array was able to build up. So they do still have somewhere that they can pull from, and bot is where it might be.
Yeah, so you can see Prismo, he's trying to take rush control, which is correct in the matchup, but the position that he's in, he's no way to stop Yasuo from engaging. He was dismounted, so there was no crash down to try and save Array. Well played from FlyQuest as Yuji hits the visit. Meanwhile, we have the answer mid from GG. And watch how Spyrax plays this, because it's a decent combo from Young to set up Rosethorn. Rosethorn does ding 6 here, so he's actually able to combo with the cask. But the shield comes in. Spyrax hits the two-man Tempered Fate to escape. He also finds a kill. And then he flashes away from this axe and uses a third Q after he hits the minion to get away from the last one. That's really good Yone play coming out of Spyrax. He continues to impress in the series today.
Oh, not to get into it again, though. Yuji on the front line. Spyrax over the wall. Prismal trying to get on out of there. And Emperor's Divide to throw day. Multiple members of FlyQuest. Just using an ultimate. Over here on that top side, there's so many skirmishes that went in the favor of FlyQuest despite there being some narrow margins. So I think Golden Guardians being a bit careful in the way they run into the enemy team.
And this setup right now, oh boy.
Oh, Matsu exhausted.
Nice
Two
counter.
knockups. The Dawning Shadow through and through. A root onto Winsome, and they get the kill onto Prismal. Nice dodge of the Q for Masu, too, to stay alive after that one.
And the reason Masu didn't fall was because of the wind wall. Array can't walk up. He burned both summons to get out. Wind wall meant he couldn't follow up with any piercing arrow to try and take down Masu as Masu. Really nice EQ nado to set that up. And FlyQuest continue to play through this Yasuo lane.
All right. Sometimes you can shake things up with saying, I know that everyone's familiar with the Senna and the Yasuo combo. We've seen this combination of the two brothers as well, but when it's been a bit of time, really bringing it through in full effect with this melee dominant matchup from FlyQuest, looking for the scrappiness that was a win condition they were able to lean into, and GG just unable to neutralize it thus far.
I do like this draft from FlyQuest. I think it's very creative. Like, not only do they have the Senna Yasuo lane, I like Senna with all the melees, but you have 3 melees to proc Sejuani passive too. And we've seen FlyQuest skirmish around that really nicely. Sejuani skirmishes so well with melees. I think that's been one of the reasons that we have seen FlyQuest, as you highlighted earlier, sneak out with some of those low health bars, but having the skirmishes go in their advantage.
And the more you can get that permafrost stacked up to get the stuns down and the follow-up from the team in these team fights, really making use of all of these synergies within the squad. And we've already seen some great win walls. So FlyQuest, it's one thing to bring through a very clear game plan. It's another to trust in everyone to pilot the picks effectively. And I think they're making some good work thus far. Now this Rift Herald getting dropped down in mid. A classic push for them. Golden Guardians still working into the advantages that they started to build up, taking the dragon, and now the explosive cast to zone off Yuji, who has to flash over and use the ultimate. Do they want to try and throw this back to GG? Needlework from Philip, trying to get some work into Concept. Another snip should do it. going down. Spyrex getting the kill, but now rest of GG is here to stay. Efforts tried to motivate multiple from moving out of the way. A double kill for Young. Spyrex on the retreat. Winston now the only rage unit because UG had to go bye-bye birdie, trying to make the way out there. Maybe can throw out a root or something to keep them off. Luckily, they have no more way to pursue this, but it's Golden Guardians getting the best of the scrap this time.
I thought that fight was already looking FlyQuest's favor. I saw the Chain of Corruption go wide. I was wrong. The Emperor's Divide into the Wombo combo from Prismal, what they were looking for in draft. You can see here how difficult it is for the melees of FlyQuest to actually do damage. As I thought it was a good start from FlyQuest. Yes, UG eats a lot. He's out of the fight early, but they were able to wait out Concept in the pit, and FlyQuest has a nice turn to make sure they take down Concept and make this into a 4v4. But I guess they burned a lot for this, and Young just came in. That Shurima shuffle was huge.
What a way to go ahead and make sure you separate this fight. And the melee is doing really well for FlyQuest when they can collapse upon someone, but as soon as those Reign champions for Golden Guardians come through and really zone them off, they're just able to finish off the fight in a way that FlyQuest cannot contest.
It was good target selection from GG and a nice stopwatch from Rosethorn to make sure that he doesn't go down. But Prismal set that up with that ult into the Emperor's Divide. Really well done from Golden Guardians as they hit what their comp was looking to do in these team fights, find their first win, and now get a few more advantages on the map. They're catching back up in the gold lead.
So as they're catching up and approaching 15 minutes here, what are you thinking for FlyQuest? Are they discouraged because of that last fight, or are they still in a powerful position in the scraps?
I think it shows how valuable Sejuani is. 'Cause she's like the one tank, and everyone can play off her Permafrost passive. So I'm hoping that FlyQuest just returns to playing and skirmishing with the Sejuani. And we see the setup here as Senna's rotated up here with Yuji. So I think that FlyQuest, as long as they fight around Yuji, it's still advantage them.
And that's why Yuji is making sure to stay close by the team and vice versa, so that there's never really any isolation between them. Turret going down, but looking like a trade on both sides. So the first turret for Golden Guardians afforded on bot, and Spyrax's continuous push over here top will be able to answer with one of their own.
1.5k gold lead still in the pockets of FlyQuest, but the 2 dragons for GG. Nice little consolation prize. We do have the ports on the Rift, so Hextech Soul very valuable for our teams here. And we'll see FlyQuest can continue to keep up this pressure as the map's still theirs.
Yeah, that's the thing. Even though there were some good points for Golden Guardians there, FlyQuest, they're still pushing across. Phil getting the shove over on the bot side, and you know, we're starting to see some of these items come on through. A few mythics finished for FlyQuest. Love to see the Warmog start for Yuji as well on the Sejuani. Nice way to make sure that you're able to tank up as much damage and keep yourself around to increase the opportunities to stack up that passive and enable the rest of the team.
Just waves being caught here on the side of FlyQuest as Herald is up. Philip doesn't have empowered TP, and Young is actually moving up here. So this fight goes too long. Golden Guardians would have a numbers advantage, but the objective will be going over to FlyQuest. Looks like GG maybe just trying to play for mid-outer afterwards.
Yeah, taking that one for themselves. FlyQuest had got the first Rift Herald, and now are happy to grab the second to see if they can crack open the map in a way where, as the melees, sometimes you're wanting to find a bit of those clever angles to really be able to jump on GG, and establishing vision so you can catch them in some of these bushes or the like is one way to do that. Golden Guardians, though, they haven't lost sight of where their win conditions are going to come from. I mean, Array still wanting to build up power as much as possible to get that poke onto the melees. As long as Golden Guardians can keep them all back enough for Array to rain down as much of that damage alongside Young as possible, then you really weaken FlyQuest so they can't step up in a way without being worried about being burned down.
I think that's a good highlight, and also something else I'm looking out for. Can they CC Masu and prevent that wind wall? Because stopping a cast, stopping some of the poke coming in from Array, I think that's the target for Golden Guardians. Make sure that Masu doesn't get that wind wall off as Prismal. See, he's kind of posturing. At least will be mid-priority. For the side of GG's, they went some decent poke and take control over this bot side jungle. FlyQuest, of course, can play out 3 lanes. They do win both side lanes at this point of the game. So it looks like FlyQuest is going to see this objective and try and get gold elsewhere.
different prioritization of objectives for these two teams.
Yeah.
Golden Guardians stacking up their third dragon, whereas FlyQuest crashing their second Rift Herald means they can crack open the most important lane to crack open of the game, mid, which allows you much more of that mobility across through and through, which is why you can see them venturing into the jungle territory to help on that top side, where Spyrax has been pushing all the while on that wave for that signed lane pressure that you had noted, Cubby, and GG looking to make sure they can slow that down.
That's good macro overall from FlyQuest. Yeah, they sacked the dragon. It's soul point for GG, but they realized, hey, we got a lot of poke. We couldn't fight, so let's almost take an inner and definitely take an outer as they shifted all their power ups to the top side, playing through that. And Philip snuck in to the bot side, got the outer. So, yeah, I mean, good macro from FlyQuest. And I also like sacking this dragon and fighting the next one. You do have a Yone plus Yasuo. If they're able to finish the second crit item and actually get up to, close to that 100% margin, like 2 IEs for these carries, if they have that for the fourth dragon, that's a much better fight for FlyQuest compared to fighting now.
I want to see some clever uses of the Hextech gates as well on the Hextech Rifts. Always fun, but when thinking about just what FlyQuest have and how they can try and jump upon their opponents, if they can really just find a nice little angle, if they want to try and contest on that Dragon Soul, for instance, if they've been stacking up all this time just waiting till they can get in their most powerful point, then they can break into what Golden Guardians have been working towards all game. But right now, with still a while until the dragon comes up, we're at 19:30, so 30 seconds until Baron spawns, but not expecting any contest over that for the time being. Both teams just wanting to farm up and get to their next power point as quickly as possible.
FlyQuest, it's actually a rather dangerous FlyQuest, or Baron from FlyQuest. They do want to start it. I know it's just spawning, but they have a lot of DPS. They also have a Warmog, so Sejuani can tank it and then get the health back if she retreats. Would not be surprised to see FlyQuest, especially being able to win that side lane now with the Gwen. That could be something we could see FlyQuest kind of try and push and pull GG around a little bit.
GG, I think that's why making sure you get those wards down so that FlyQuest can't try anything sneaky to aggress at this stage in the game. But all the while, I mean, I feel like the game plan very clear from FlyQuest with the way that they are rotating Philip and Spyrax across the map and awaiting those spikes that you have noted. Golden Guardians, they've managed to get some warding across their own jungle, but also being careful not to get caught out in the establishment of control over the map, which will be difficult for them to do when, yes, the turret they knocked down in bot is great, but FlyQuest have been doing that in tenfold with the strategy that they have brought to the table.
All going to come down to this dragon here in a couple minutes, honestly, because Soul for GG, like that can bridge the 3k gold deficit easily. And they have a lot of ways they can apply Hextech Soul to when you have the poke of Azir plus Varus. So I think FlyQuest treading carefully around the Baron, given that, but now is when they feel like they've opened up enough to burn it. And keep in mind, this Yasuo Yone, Spyrax joins. They do this very quickly.
Seems like they spent a lot of time trying to make GG unsure of if they were starting up Baron. So now, finally doing so. Prismal calling them on it, getting that vision. FlyQuest immediately as soon as they're seen. I like the fact, though, you saw how long they were making that dance to try to get into GG's head and say, yeah, you're not sure if we're on it. We're not actually doing this. And then starting it up. Unfortunately for them, that thought was caught.
I like how quickly they retreated too, because if FlyQuest reset now, that is a minute before the dragon. Of course, that is Soul on the table for Golden Guardians. That is the most important objective of the game. So they know they can't see that for free either. So I think that's a good call for a lot of reasons. Again, the addition of Winsum's giving this team a lot more direction, and definitely saw some of that as they were on the same page, getting out of there, and now they have a chance to contest this dragon that is so important for the side of Golden Guardians.
And 45 seconds until that spawns, which is why UG's making the way over to get those wards down.
It's a TP too.
GG,
okay,
they can afford to give up a dragon because GG are the ones stacking. Yes, that is a condition they've been working towards, but I can see that line of thought of thinking, oh, Fly is going to go over towards dragon because they don't want us to have Soul. Let's see if we can sneak a Baron in the meantime. Does not succeed, but a very forward-thinking mentality of both of these teams when it comes to the major objectives.
Yeah, it's okay. Rosethorn can heal on up with his passive, so not the worst attempt in the world. And Young was still able to get back here in time because of the ports. They contest this dragon. And now, FlyQuest. This is where things get a little bit tricky for them, as it's a good setup for Golden Guardians. They're here in the river first. They have a lot of poke. FlyQuest have to walk in.
Winsome trying to offer protection for FlyQuest, so they encroach. Philip caught out, was looking for the angle, but they see him. So does he quickly try to make that rotation in? Concept keeping the eyes on him. Prismal also here to zone off. So FlyQuest more vulnerable. It's UG to go in, blast it down onto Array. Array is in dangerous territory, and then Masu also getting very low. Look at the way they're blasting on down. It's a trade of Masu for multiple members of Golden Guardians. The damage good, the follow-up good. FlyQuest pushing a double kill into Philip's pocket, and they take the dragon to deny the soul from Golden Guardians.
All right, I'm gonna be honest. I gotta take a second look at that. That fight was so fast and so chaotic that I can't even add up what happened there. As FlyQuest, UG flashed by everyone to try and find the Glacial Prison onto Young, and I think that's what enabled the rest of FlyQuest to follow up and actually make that fight work in their favor.
There was this initial big ka-chunk of damage onto multiple members of Golden Guardians. Array wasn't quite killed, but then you think maybe they could turn it back for a little bit, but not so much. FlyQuest out on top, immediately following up on that dragon with a push towards Baron. Now with Baron buff in tow, denial of the soul.
What the hell happened here? That's the real question. This fight was so quick from each of our teams. Of course, FlyQuest, they have to dogpile in. Watch Yuji. He flashes past Rosethorn to find the Glacial Prison onto Young. Look at that. Gets around. Spyrax. Oh, him and Masu synced up to find Array, so he was taken out immediately. Young forced to go golden, so the execute found on both carries. FlyQuest, great fight from them as they were able to get Young and Array out of the fight first. No damage for GG, and that's a rout.
And that whole time, you see that FlyQuest is set up in the way they want, with the melees just really in the thick of it, and then Winsome on the Senna, throwing out the root here, throwing out some of that utility that you really want to see from the pick, getting that lock, and then Golden Guardians with nowhere to escape. FlyQuest executing nicely on that fight, and now look to punish Young, who has to throw everything out for a mode of survival. Golden Guardians falling to the pressure of FlyQuest in recent fights.
And that is a really nice flash from Winsome. Well worth taking the Azir off the map, as that's going to be at least bot inner falling. Azir's a lot of the wave clear for the side of Golden Guardians. So FlyQuest continue to push the pace. It's going to be a big gold lead for them. And honestly, looking like another 2-0 is Winsome. The only undefeated player that we have in NACL is looking to move to 6-0.
Let's go. Let's go. That's the way to get hyped up. No L's on the docket, and when you're looking at a Baron buff for a comp like FlyQuest that has been split pushing all the while, then you enjoy that much more their ability to get the aggressive waves into these turrets and really stringing together so much. Look at that gold lead right now, over 9,000 for FlyQuest. And Golden Guardians having a difficult time stepping on up. They get Prismal in the center of it all. Winsome throwing down the Dawning Shadow. Young over the wall and into the grave. Prismal next to fall, but Array zoned off entirely by Philip, who now sets their sights onto Prismal. Doesn't connect with the needlework, but there's another target on the opposite side in Concept. FlyQuest take the inhibitor after taking 3 down in the fight, and they've got another wave coming over here on the mid side. They're keeping the pressure onto the Nexus turrets. Even with Golden Guardians coming up on the spawn, they get the kill onto one, but Golden Guardians cannot keep FlyQuest away from this Nexus, baby. A 2-0 at that off of the melee-dominated draft from FlyQuest.
It might have been Winsome with the railgun, and Winsome that was 2-0 and 15, but Yuji, he was the true sniper on FlyQuest that game. He found another Glacial Prison that found Young. And again, if that Azir is taken away, that's a lot of the disengage, the pushback from Golden Guardians. So him being off the table early made it so easy for those melees to dogpile. And FlyQuest, they made that comp work. That was pretty fun. I like that read with Sejuani Sana. That was cute.
Cute. Cute read there. Cute
that was
read.
Cute.
Yeah.
Like the creative here.
FlyQuest Jones come through with some creativity, coming through with a pentakill in game number 1, some nice play in game number 2, which is why on the other side of this break, we're going to be hearing from Spyrax following such great play. We'll see you there.
We weren't live quite yet, but now we're live. Welcome back, everyone. We've got Spyrex here after a successful back-to-back 2-0 sweep over Golden Guardians Challengers, which means this extends FlyQuest's current win streak of 6-0 over the past 3 series. First of all, Spyrex, congratulations on another sweep. I know just before we went live, you're like, dude, I don't know how we're winning these games. You wanna elaborate on that?
I mean, I don't know, we're just playing. I mean, scrims have gotten a lot better ever since we got like our real bot lane. I mean, we've had Masu like the soul split, but now he's playing on low ping and he's with us. And obviously, we were playing with the sub support before, so now we're like actually playing like with our intended team, you know.
There you go. Yeah. And I mean, it's a little bit of a late season resurgence, but you can clearly see that when the full team is here and when you don't have to battle with 100+ ping or even 90+ ping of just an Ethernet cable over in Canada, then you get to play at your full limits. I mean, I don't even know if you would have the confidence of running a Yasuo with like 90+ ping over there.
I mean, the fact that Wasu was playing on high ping made it so that we can't even like draft properly, because there are some picks that like are more important to like have low ping on, and like so we just couldn't play those. Like we couldn't even practice them, and a lot of the times we would have like the worst drafts ever, but we had to play them.
Just being restricted on, you know, circumstances a little bit out of your control. But now that you've had your full team here ready to go, what are some of the things that you felt like has really, you know, other than like, you know, Masu now being here? I know that the other equation or part of the equation is that Winsome can help give and shoulder a lot of the leadership responsibilities that you felt you were taking on earlier on in the split.
Yeah, I mean, he's been doing a good job of like making sure the team plays together. Before we had Winsome, a lot of the times I would be the one like trying to do it like all by myself, and it is really hard when like it's a job that everyone has to do. So it was really hard for me, but yeah, with Winsome it's a lot easier because he's helping me with it, but like also everyone else is like stepping up, so that's like nice to see.
Yeah, and it's a great time to do it as we are closing out the regular season. Did you? I don't think you guys played yesterday, did you? Or
No, I did not play.
Okay, yeah. So you still have one more series tomorrow, and you know, if you're able to get that 2-0 dub, you would not only have to end the regular season with an 8-0 win streak, but also just cleaning out the regular season in great fashion. You guys are currently middle of the pack in terms of the standings. Where do you feel like you actually now stack up now that you have your full roster against the rest of the teams here in Challengers?
Okay, even though we won like a lot of games, it's like kind of weird to tell like how good we are compared to the other teams, because I swear like every day there's gonna be like one team that like really overperforms or like underperforms. So like it's really like it's just hard to tell, I guess.
Sure. So would you say that the middle of the pack standing still reflects on where you guys feel like you are stacked up against everyone else then?
Okay, I definitely think we're like better than what our like stand-in shows, because we didn't have like a roster, you know, like we were playing with like a handicap basically. So I think we're better than like, what place are we right now? I don't even know.
Last time I checked, you guys are at 9th, but you're now at 16 wins overall, and there's a bunch of teams that are like in this 17, 18 win slot. The highest team only has 21 wins total. So, I mean, you're 5 wins total behind the curve. So, even though you're at 9th, you're not that far behind from the rest of the pack.
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty close, but we're definitely like higher than like whatever like stand-in we're currently at.
Yeah, so higher than 9th. You want to say top 4, top 5? To be safe here, or
yeah, that's pretty good guess. I mean, there's I think Dig and Cloud9 are like a cut above.
Yeah.
Usually, like for the most part, obviously they didn't have the cleanest games recently, I believe, but I'd say they're like still like top tier.
Okay.
And then it's like I don't even like Fear, us, TL, and like all the teams that are around there, wildcard.
Okay. Well, we'll see how that shakes up. I've got a couple more questions to ask you, Spyrex, before we let you go here. Last time I talked to you, it was at the beginning of the split, and obviously, you know, there's some circumstances out of your control, but you know, talked a lot about, like, damn, I need to be laning better, you know, and we know that one of your laning partners is APA. It's his birthday today. You know, did you have anything prepared for him, or you're like, nah, dude, APA's gotta help me better in my laning 1v1s?
Nah, man, I wish him a happy birthday, obviously. I'll probably look to, like do something, whether it's go hiking or like get dinner together.
Hell yeah. It'll be a good time. You should send us a picture or
Sure.
some type of vlog update.
He'll probably do it because I'm not really active on socials.
Oh yeah, dude, APA always releases the banger tweets and the clips.
Yeah,
All
that's
right. Before I let you go, Spyrex, is there anything else that you would like to share with us today, or shout out anyone?
Not really. Just shout out to my team, and yeah. Shout out to APA, I guess. Shout out to the Maryville people.
Hell yeah. Always give love back to the collegiate space as well, and to the Maryville crew. Thank you so much again for joining us, Spyrex. Congratulations on the overall 6-0. Hope you guys can keep it up tomorrow. We'll catch you next time. As for us, we're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, it'll be our last series of the day with CLG Challengers taking on Cincinnati Fear. We'll see you then.